What is going on, everybody? You are watching Straight Facts, Ritchie and Ciro. I'm Ciro, my boy.
Richie.
And let's get straight into the facts. Get off for us, Richie.
All right, so we have our MLB special today, and before we get into all the games, we're going to be checking out our predictions right now. So starting off in the American League, who do you have, Ciro?
So for the American League, of course, Big Trout's going to come off on top, but two players that I think could come close between Mookie Betts and Bregman. Those two right there are excellent players and great. Of course, Bregman handles the infield well. And overall, it's Mike Trout, and now this season already playing pretty well, and he's going to continue it. I mean, just signed a huge deal, and he deserves it. We've mentioned plenty of times.
We talked about it.
Anybody deserves it.
In a podcast that didn't work.
It's Mike Trout like 5 times.
We talked about it
like 5 times.
if it's somebody who deserves that 12-year, $430 million contract,
it's
Mike Trout.
100%.
Maybe Mookie Betts, but I don't know, because Mike Trout has been doing it for so long.
For
Betts
sure.
has had three or
years.
4 really good seasons in a row, but if it's going to go to somebody right now, it's definitely going to be Mike
100%.
Trout. Now for the National League, I have Nolan Arenado, who had a great 2018 season. I believe he finished second in MVP voting. Not second, maybe somewhere around there. But he had a 297 batting average, 38 home runs, 110 RBIs, and he's had a great career, and he seems like a great two-way player, and I think he'll be able to get it this year.
We'll go Christian Yelich. Of course, I think that he could definitely do it again, but of course, Arenado, he's always been up there, and maybe this is just that year where he deserves it.
Right.
But, I mean, the NL is always kind of funky when it comes to votings, and of course you could throw Judge in for AL, too. I forgot to add that.
Right.
But for the NL, it's just all over the place, too. And, hey, maybe Harper has an even better
Harper's
season.
gotten off to a great start this year as
He
well.
started incredible. First 4 games played great, and now he's continuing that as well. So, like we mentioned, it's always tough for MVP votings in baseball, just because every year you get always at least 3 guys who are spot on. Any one of them could get it. It's not like where it's basketball where it's like, yeah, he could get it, but he did this. In baseball, it's so close that you can't even pull the ticks and the tacks of what they're doing better from each other. So that's why AL, NL, it's kind of a shot in the dark, no matter how much better you might think one of them are. If you look at the stats, it's always close enough where any one of them can win. So those are our predictions for the NL and AL MVP. What are we on to next, Richie?
The AL East for I have the Red Sox coming out on top, even though they've gotten off to a slow start this season, 3-9. Chris Sale has gone 0-3. The pitching has been terrible. The offense has been okay. Mookie Betts is doing all right. JD Martinez is doing his thing, but the pitching, and not really the bullpen, but just the starters, and Rodriguez and then Price, Porcello, Sale, they have not gotten off to good starts at all.
So, I mean, a rough start for both our teams. I'm, of course, a Yankees fan. Both of our teams are not looking good. You go Red Sox, I go Yankees, but the Rays?
The Rays.
What are they? They're killing it right now, and I don't like seeing that. As a baseball fan, of course, they're definitely a team that you would not expect. And, of course, even the Orioles play pretty solid. What if the Yanks can get their stuff together like they usually do, unlike the last couple years? I mean, even that postseason run 2 years ago was awful. I mean, a great way to get there, but a horrible end.
And not many people expected them to go that far either.
Yeah.
They made it to a Game 7.
We went against the Astros.
You guys were a win away from making it to the World Series against the Dodgers.
And that would have been a great one. But, of course, this year I think that Yankees could come up on top and definitely do what we have to. I mean, our team is looking way better than it once was, and Duhar is. Of course, he's going through a little injury problems, but he'll be back and better when that comes out.
They're saying he could be out for the season.
And I would hope
if the rehab doesn't work for you guys.
That's huge, just because we invested so much into him, and of course we looked into him, and we always know we're always right with our prospects. We always know what we're doing.
Right.
But of course, this is one of those situations where the injury can really, really mess it up. So that's you hope for the best, and of course pray for the most. So hopefully that recovers, and I overall do think the Yankees can go far. And if the Red Sox get their stuff together, really, they're deadly. We all know this. This is a World Series champs.
We only lost 2 players. We lost Joe Kelly and we lost Craig Kimbrell.
Now, Kelly was big.
Kelly went to the Dodgers, and he's been terrible. I mean, we're only 13, 14 games in the MLB season, but he hasn't played well so far. And
Kelly was a huge aspect.
Craig Kimbrell's still a free agent. No one has him, so... I think we'll be able to bounce back, though. It's just a slow start. The pitching has not been where it should be. Chris Sale, I don't think he's ready yet. He didn't pitch much in spring training. David Price didn't either, so I think we're going to bounce back. But heading over to For the AL Central, I have the Cleveland Indians. I
Agreed.
just don't think there's anybody else that's really a threat to them in that division.
No. I mean, since 2015, you could say it's been the Indians' division. The Tigers haven't been anything solid since Verlander's prime, and the White Sox haven't really had a big season since Abreu's big break. So, really, the Indians have been that consistent team of that division, and they've been able to remain on top. And I think that's pretty easy to come to conclusion. Indians, I mean, unless we get blown away and the Royals do some crazy... Imagine that.
Yeah, it's not them.
Indians
they've
are
had way
definitely...
too many
Royals
injuries. They've lost way
stink
too many
every year
people now.
since... And, of course, I mean...
Now Salvador
Perez is
out too.
out for the season, correct?
Yeah, he had to have Tommy John surgery.
Crazy. So I was just saying that because, like, if it's not the Indians, come on.
But I don't think the Indians, they really don't have much competition. They are second right now because the Tigers have gotten off to a good start, but I think the Indians are going to pick up the pace afterwards. But heading over to the AL West now, the Oakland Athletics, they are 8-8 this season, which is last in the division so far, but I still think they're going to come out on top.
Last year they were a problem, but I think this could be Mariners' season, to do a lot. But I mean, this is the most stacked. This is one of the most stacked divisions in all of baseball.
Right.
And of course, you never know. I could be the blame that goes, hey, Astros are doing it again. They win it, but you never know. I mean, the A's last year looked so solid, but it just came to an end so quickly where we weren't even sure how to respond.
And you guys beat them in the AL wildcard game too. So.
I mean, that was everyone was saying that we were going to get smoked by them too, which I wasn't expecting. I wouldn't even gone to that conclusion. But this is such a tough division. I mean, the Angels never really go too far, but they always just have good
Mike
performers.
Shaw's played in his 8-year career, he's played like 6 playoff games.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
he's never really gone far.
No.
And it's not his fault. I mean, the team's horrible.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, he never really had a lot of help other than Pujols' last decent season, which was like 15. That was like, I mean, they had a pretty solid team overall. But yeah, I could definitely see the A's bouncing back. I mean, the Rangers are not doing nothing.
No.
Angels probably not. Mariners could definitely hold their ground. Same with the Astros.
They have the best record in baseball right now.
Absolutely.
So.
They're kicking it off and now 12 dubs, and they're really playing well. So, on to the NL. Who do you got?
So, the National League East, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. We already talked about it in a few podcasts ago, how much talent they have on their team. Just starting off with their pitching and Aaron Nola. Then they got David Robertson. Of course, they have Jake Arrieta.
Even their infield is incredible, too.
And then on their offensive side, they have that great outfield of Adubel Herrera, Rhys Hoskins, and of course Bryce Harper. You have Andrew McCutchen as well. It's just a very deadly team.
It's not even fair.
A home run hitting team, and they've gotten off to the best start in the National League East, and I think they can continue to dominate that division.
No, that was the smart move for Harper to go to the Phillies and of course get stuff done. Do what you got to do, and going from an awful team in the Nats.
Yeah, and now he'll probably play better too. A lot of guys do that when they're in a winning environment. They tend to play better.
Definitely snap around. So I'm gonna definitely agree with you on that and see the Phillies go far. So now go to the Central.
For the
NL, who do you got?
For the NL Central, I have the Milwaukee Brewers, and they've gotten off to an 8-5 start, which is the best in their division. And the Cubs kind of fell off last year. They were dealing with some injuries, even though Javier Baez had a really good season. The Reds are the Reds.
Yeah.
There's not much to really say about that.
Same with the Cardinals.
I think the Cardinals can have a bounce back season.
I think that this is going to be a huge season for the Cardinals. It's either the Brewers or the Cardinals for me.
Right. Plus they got Paul Goldschmidt too.
Who's always, I mean, since his MVP run type season, he's just been unstoppable. I love that guy. I mean, I think that since his last season in the Diamondbacks, I think that's like when he really made that turn from a solid player to an MVP candidate player. And he definitely is a huge part of that team. So, but, I mean, I could agree with the Brewers for sure. But I have Cardinals close up.
And for the National League West, I have the Colorado Rockies winning it all. And unfortunately, they have gotten off to a slow start, just 3-9, which is last in their division. The Dodgers are at the top once again, along with the Padres, surprisingly. But Los Angeles, I don't see them making it very far. Even though they have a bunch of home run hitters on their team, they
lost a lot.
They did lose a lot of players.
Lost a lot.
And Clayton Kershaw, he's not even back yet.
Nope.
And you never know how many games, how many starts he's gonna have, or how long he can last, or how good that curveball is anymore.
Well, of course, with this team, you look at a team like the Dodgers, who was just in the World Series, but they're falling apart, and that's
tough to go to back-to-back World Series and lose back-to-back
both,
years.
and just lose Manny Machado like that.
Right.
Just like that, they lost him.
And then they had Brian Dozier, really solid second baseman. He's gone.
It's tough. So I think that out of the West, I mean, I could see what you're saying with the Rockies. They can definitely bounce back. It doesn't matter how you start, especially in a huge season.
Yeah, there's
like
162
baseball.
games. We're only 12
It doesn't matter how you
in,
start.
so.
It doesn't matter how you finish. So you could lose the first 50 and still end up in first place.
Right.
And I think the Rockies are looking pretty solid. I mean, not looking, but they can definitely turn around just because it's a solid team that has a lot to work with. And I can't see the Dodgers winning again.
No.
So I mean, that really is just that's it for our, our predictions on.
Oh, who do you have for the American League making it to the World Series?
I mean, it's still tough for me. I mean, if the Yankees can make it out, I want to see a Yankees push. So, of course, you got the Red Sox.
Yeah, I got the Red Sox, of course.
And I got the
obviously,
Phillies.
it's early in the season. I have the Phillies as well.
I have the Phillies, too. So, I mean, I would love to see a Yankees-Phillies. I mean, Judge and Harper battling. And Betts and Harper, even that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. If the Red Sox make it back-to-back, then I think that they have enough to win it. But if the Yankees do, I think they can win it as well. Even if, it's not them, who else would you have besides Yankees or Red Sox?
I guess, the Mariners, they've gotten off to a really good start.
Yeah.
The Oakland Athletics, I think they're going to be a really good team. They're a great home run hitting team. Their pitching is not that great, but we'll see how far their offense can take them.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Mariners. I mean, that whole team is looking really solid this year for sure. So just overall, those were our predictions, really. So anything else to add on?
Nope. Now heading over to our recap now. Monday, April 8th, it was the Rays over the White Sox. We talked about how they've gotten off to a great start this season. They won 5-1. And Blake Snell signed that 5-year, $50 million contract in the offseason. Tossed 6 innings, gave up 6 hits on 1 run, struck out 11 batters. He now has a 2-1 record with 27 strikeouts and a 2.84 ERA.
I mean, that was another big game, and of course, it's the start of the season, so you can't really, break down too much of it other than a good win. It's not like basketball where we can just go in depth and say how this changes, and it's not even like the Western Conference, Eastern Conference discussion where it's like, oh yeah, one game. No. So just a big win for the team, but it'll be more important way longer on. So
exactly. Heading over to the next one, the Astros over the Yankees 4-3. Robinson Crinos with a 2-run double in the 7th inning to tie the game up. Then it was Carlos Correa with a little infield single.
Yeah.
To give the Astros the 4-3 lead. And for the Yankees bullpen, it was terrible once again. The 2 pitchers from New York's bullpen tossed 2 innings, gave up 4 hits on 3 runs, walked 2 batters.
So, of course, Yankees bullpen, it's either on fire, looking great, or absolutely atrocious. And I thought that we were going to turn it around at one point, and that's just not how it's looking right now. And, of course, a team like the Astros, who have depth all around, I wasn't expecting us to win that game just on how awful we look. And that's what stinks about the Yankees. It's like that for most teams, but since I watch the Yankees the most, that's what it's like. We are either killing it or we're looking awful.
And you have great depth in your bullpen.
We
with
do.
Aroldis Chapman, Dellin
do.
Betances. You just
Severino.
signed Zach Britton. So.
Yeah, I mean, all around, we have a lot. But, I mean, I wanted a lot from Betances last year in the postseason, and
right.
And didn't get that. And same with Sevy. Not what you wanted. And I mean, even last season we saw Sabathia too. Just get him off. That's all I was saying last year.
Oh, he had a good season last year.
In the postseason, he definitely clutched it up. You could say he performed better, but in the regular season, he didn't look too well. But this game right here, like I said, there's not much you can really say for the Yankees when they're not looking that hot. And, of course, Astros kind of lit them up. Colts game, you could say, but Correa came in clutch.
Heading over to the next game now, the Phillies over the Nationals 4-3, and it was the offense leading the way. Reese Hoskins going 2 for 4, hitting 2 solo home runs, and Adubel Herrera went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs.
Yeah, I mean, this is another big game for the Phillies, and just, of course, with a game like this, the Phillies-Nats, you're going to enjoy that a lot in the season. And, of course, 2 teams that are close like that, you're going to love to see the Harper feud just because of kind of the disrespect.
Especially when it's in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely.
as well.
You gotta love those type of
it's
games.
It's even more fun. It's great.
It's kind of like the Durant-Westbrook type games where they were at the Chesapeake and Durant was getting booed on. That's kind of how it was the first game. Cupcake. Yeah, no. So that's kind of how it was. They were booing him, and we all know what happened the first time in D.C. That was crazy. The bat flip heard around the world, forced a homer. But, I mean, it was a slow start for him. But once he got
Since
it
then,
rolling.
he's been
Once he
picking
got
up
it
the
rolling,
pace.
that ball ain't stopping. So
He's still going. Heading over to the next game, the Mariners over the Royals in dominant fashion, 13-5. Edwin Encarnacion going 2 for 4, and he hit 2 home runs in the 6th inning. Not in the game, just in 1 inning,
Yeah, no.
along with 4 RBIs.
and Encarnacion's a guy that he's always had that hit power, but he's inconsistent.
Yeah,
He's
he
so
is.
inconsistent. I remember back in Blue Jays when it was him and Joey Bats, and those guys. I mean, at least Batista was able to.
It's just go big or go home.
Exactly. It was
it's either
5 home runs from those two,
Yeah.
or nothing.
It's either a home run, a double, or a strikeout. There's no in between.
That's kind of like how Judge was his rookie year. I mean, it was either a home run, a single, or a strikeout. Not even a double because he's too fast to run. I mean, he's too tall to run that fast.
Right.
But that's just how Encarnacion reminds me. Like you said, it's either a home run, double, or strikeout. And right there, in an inning, gets it done.
And heading over to the games of Tuesday, April 9th, and it was the Blue Jays over the Red Sox 7-5. Boston got their hardware, their World Series rings from 2018, but it was not the game you expected from Chris Sale once again. 4 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits on 5 runs, struck out only 3 batters. He is now 0-3 with 8 strikeouts and a 9.00 ERA to begin the season.
So, rough start for your boy.
That's all you gotta do is laugh, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a rough start for, of course, such a usually incredible pitcher. I mean, of course, that's kind of how it was, though. Sale had a little tough start, correct me if I'm not, when he was first with the Red Sox. It took him a couple games, and then he got into the role. Hopefully that's what it's looking like for you guys, where he gets back into it, and he starts tearing it up.
I know, because we've lost 4 of our last 5, and we're now 3-9, worst in the AL East, but as we talked about, it's early in the season, 162
And
games.
hopefully he
Plenty
doesn't
of time.
pull a David Price where he gets to that point of his career where it's not like a slump. That's it, he's done.
Right.
You don't want that to happen for sure. I mean, any of those pitchers you can name where they just kind of get to that point where it's like, no. Their arm's like, nope, you're not throwing no more. So hopefully.
And with the way he throws, how much torque he puts on his arm, how hard he
tough.
throws it, it's
really
and
tough.
he's not really a built guy. He's really a scrawny, tall
he's just
guy.
he's a tall kid.
Yeah, he's a toothpick.
I know, yeah. I mean, someone who really still amazed me is how Porcello still does it. I mean, just even how he throws too, he's still able to get it done and continue. I mean, I'll never forget that almost perfect game against the Yankees last year where he killed
I was at that game.
the whole game. You were there? Yeah, I was watching it at a sports bar.
That game was so fast. It was like 2 hours.
It was stupid. And I mean,
it took us longer to get there than we watched the game.
In that whole series, right there, I mean, Pierce killed it. Can't forget that, where Pierce had like 3 homers one night.
That was awesome.
He had like 5 in 2 games, or 6 in 2 games, I think it was.
Heading over to the next one now, the Reds over the Marlins, 14-0. Jesse Winker lead the way, going 2 for 5 with 2 runs, 3 RBIs. Matt Kemp, the first-year Red, going 2 for 5 with a 3-run home run. And Cincinnati able to snap an 8-game losing streak right there.
And I like how you mentioned that too with Kemp. Kemp is just all on the road now. He's like traveling for the past like 5 years. He's kind of like the Jamal Crawford. Like he plays everywhere. But obviously a big W, and the Reds. They're the Reds.
Yeah, they don't really have much talent. They have Joey Votto, who's always really good player. No, he's still played really well.
Yeah, I know, but he's been in the league playing pretty solid for a long time.
And I don't feel like he gets the respect he deserves because he's on the Reds.
Even when he was a catcher and stuff like that, before he made that transition, I mean, he was still a solid hitter.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why I said it like that. Like, you're always going to be a good hitter, no matter what. But it's kind of, you have more pressure changing from one position to another.
Exactly.
For sure.
Heading over to the next one now, another Nationals game, and this time the Nationals beat the Phillies 10-6 in 10 innings. Juan Soto hitting the game-winning home run in the 10th inning. Bryce Harper also hit a 3-run homer off his former teammate Steven Strasburg, but unfortunately Washington coming out on top in this game.
And that's another perfect example of a pitcher who also career kind of went down. Strasburg, I mean, he's not awful, but
he's been injury prone too.
Yeah, he really has been I would say 6 years ago, he was one of my favorite pitchers to watch, and now it's just like, you don't even hear about him no more.
Right.
And people, I read an article about, like, down talk on Scherzer. Scherzer's still the man, no matter what he does. He's awesome. But that's what sucks about the Nationals. I mean, other than their pitching, they don't really have too much to offer now.
No.
And that's why it stinks. I mean, because their pitching core is so great. Well, for the most part, it was at one point. And now, losing Harper, the team looks bad. So a win like that is huge for them.
Heading over to the next one now. Another victory for the Astros over the Yankees, 6-3. Michael Brantley with an RBI double in the 7th inning to tie it. Then George Springer with a 2-run double to give the Astros the 5-3 lead at the time. As for Chad Green, he came in. He had a rough time, and he's one of your best bullpen pitchers, at least from last season. But
for sure.
He only tossed 2.2 innings, giving up 2 hits on 3 runs, walked 2 batters.
Started strong, finished bad. That's all you really got to say about the Yankees. Opening day we looked amazing. I was excited for the season, and so far these past couple games, not so much. I'm pretty sure that's how you feel about the Red Sox too right now. But
right.
That's the one thing about
fun
baseball.
Watching 12 games of baseball so far.
Exactly. That's the thing with baseball where people are like, oh, don't worry, you got 160 games to get better. But that's the thing. We watch all those games.
But if you're like a big fan about it,
we watch all 160 games.
You stress over every game.
Like when you watch every game, it doesn't matter if they end up winning 120 of them.
Yeah.
You're still gonna be mad if you watch the first.
If you go 161-1, you're gonna be mad about that one loss.
Exactly.
Every game is extremely important to you.
100%.
But heading over to the next one now, the Angels over the Brewers, 11-8. Tommy La Stella leading the way for LA as he went 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs. Jonathan LaCroix going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. Unfortunately for Mike Trout, he had to leave the game early due to a groin injury he suffered at the bottom half of the 2nd inning, and he did not play in the 4th inning or for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's what stinks about your star going out. It wasn't late on. It was really early on, so he didn't get to play that much, and just kind of a boring game overall. Right. LaCroix played pretty solid too.
Heading over to the next one now, going over the games of Wednesday, April 10th, the Rays over the White Sox, 9-1, and once again Tampa Bay with their 4th straight victory, and the pitching was solid from Tyler Glasnow. Through 6 innings, he gave up 2 hits on no runs, struck out 11 batters. He now has a 3-0 record to begin the season with a 0.53 ERA.
And I will lose my mind if this miracle continues, because if the AL East is not won by the Yankees or the Red Sox, I'm done.
I'm not watching.
I'm not watching. I don't care if the Yankees or Red Sox go in as a wild card. I'm not watching it if the Rays pull out on top.
That would be crazy. Heading over to the next one now. The Athletics defeat the Orioles 10-3, and Chris Davis with a K continues his great start to the season, going 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs, 2 home runs in that game. He already has 7 home runs on the season. The third baseman, Gold Glover Matt Chapman, going 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs, also had a 2-run shot. And as for Baltimore, Chris Davis with a C, he went 0 for 1 in that record. He is 0 for 50 in his last 50 at bats, which is the all-time record in MLB history. It's just.
Davis was so, well, I wouldn't say so, but back in their prime, 2014, 2013, when it was him and Jones, where those guys look good, even Machado, all of them guys, they look so solid. That was like that big 3 of baseball. Davis has not been looking good at Hall for the past 4 years.
Past 3 years.
But Chris Davis, however, on the A's, his
with
career has gone up
going crazy
every year since his rookie season. I've been watching him for a while too. He's pretty fun to watch. But
he's one of those guys where we talked about it's either go big or go
home.
home.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's
not
not Encarnacion bad.
He's gonna strike out a lot.
Yeah, it's not Encarnacion bad, but he's up there.
And it's amazing. He's hit. In 2017, he hit 247, and in 2018, he hit 247 as well. It's just so difficult to do.
Yeah.
But, he gives you a bunch of home runs. He gives you a bunch of RBIs,
100%.
and I guess the Athletics are happy with that. Heading over to the next one, the Nationals dominate the Phillies 15-1. Adam Eaton going 3 for 4 with 3 runs and 2 RBIs. Matt Adams going 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs. Washington with a total of 17 hits in this win.
The veteran Adams goes off for sure, but of course, This game, these are the games that you just hate to watch. I don't care if the good team wins or the good team loses. That game sucks to watch. Even if I'm a Yankees fan and I'm watching a 12-1 game, I'm not gonna. I don't like that. I love games where we get to see guys like Gardy hit them walk-offs like he did last year. That's you know what I mean though. I like close games. I don't like blowouts. They're not fun to me. Yeah. Unless it's like an Ortiz 5-run home run game, I'm probably not gonna watch it. Really, because there's just certain guys who dominate in those games, but who wants to watch the whole team hit a home run? It's like a batting practice, and it's dumb.
They gotta step up their pitching then.
For sure.
And to
shots.
To end our recap here, another loss for the Yankees as they get swept by the Astros.
Talk about the Sox.
8-6. Well, we didn't play. Yeah, we didn't play last week. We played tonight against the Blue Jays. We'll probably take another L. But for Carlos Correa, he went 3 for 4 with 2 runs, 3 RBIs, had a 2-run shot. Jose Altuve going 2 for 4 with 2 solo home runs. One of the only brighter spots for the Yankees was DJ LeMahieu, who was in his first season with New York. He went 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and an RBI double.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to say about this team right now. I mean, we're not playing as bad as the rest of
you're 5-7.
Yeah, we're not
better
playing,
than the Red Sox.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's still awful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, the Mariners are looking us look like the Eastern Conference, but really, overall, you can say about this team is that I mentioned it's the same exact thing that I said earlier. They just got to get their stuff together, and they got to finish the game stronger. Because, I mean, for the most part, they start off pretty good, but they can never finish.
And also, they're banged up. I mean, with Troy Tulowitzki out, Giancarlo Stanton now. Mm-hmm. You don't know when Luis Severino or Miguel.
I mean, especially Tulo,
coming back.
because I mean that's a huge loss for sure. And I mean, Stanton. Stanton always goes.
He's only on the 10-day DL, so it's nothing.
No,
it's nothing bad.
Yeah, exactly.
They said he's rehabbing well, so he'll be all right. Heading over to our MLB news now. Matt Carpenter signing a 2-year, $39 million contract extension with the Cardinals. Now in 2018, he made a case for MVP. Is he at 257, 36 home runs, 81 RBIs, and 42 doubles?
Yeah, I mean it's expected just because I mean it's kind of I don't want to say pity because he's a great player for sure, but I mean since he's been with them for so long too, I mean he's just kind of been the guy for the Cardinals, so it makes sense to resign him for sure.
In the last bit of news now, Luis Severino has a grade 2 lateral strain and will be shut down from throwing for 6 weeks. So they said he was going to be back in May. And now it looks like maybe...
Dude, after Gray left, I thought that our bullpen was going to be looking way better.
Sonny Gray.
Which we traded so much for that bum.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, the team's not looking that much.
And that is it for our MLB special.
That caps it off for our MLB special. I mean, for all you baseball fans, you'll be seeing a lot more now since no football news and almost close. It's sad to say no more basketball news.
Right.
But,
playoffs starting though. I'm excited.
We are excited.
We'll be getting to that in a couple episodes.
Absolutely. I mean, the Hawks making that one.
No. Next year.
Next year, because
you're getting RJ.
Yeah, it's just gonna happen with one of those picks. Nah, but that taps it off for our MLB special. Tune in next time. This was Straight Facts, Ritchie and Ciro. I'm sure my boy
Ritchie.
See you later.